interesting. Hello, we are in social studies, first and second grade social studies. We are talking about what we did before we had grocery stores. Before we had grocery stores, it is Tuesday, social studies, first and second grade. Before we had grocery stores, we had farmers. The very first farmers were from a very long time ago. And I want to read you a little story about the first farmers from a very long time ago. Okay? Let me put the volume up. Can you hear me? Okay, first farmers. On the top of your paper, write first farmers. First farmers of long ago. This is what they were doing, where people, oh my goodness. Now I have the lawn man outside. Okay, where people always, were people always producers of their food? If you look back more than 10,000 years ago, people did not have cities, towns, or farms. So, what did they do? They moved from place to place, and they gathered wild plants to eat. They moved from place to place, and they gathered wild food to eat. Then some people took seeds from the strongest wild grains. They planted the seeds, and the seeds grew. People picked the grain, used part of it, and saved the rest to plant again. They used the grain to make bread. Now they did not have to move from place to place. To look for wild plants because they had become our first farmers. So they started out moving from place to place and planting as they went. Then some people took the seeds from the strongest wild grains and they planted them, and the seeds grew. So, the first question is, what did people do before there were grocery stores? What is your answer? Before there were grocery stores, what did we have? We had people planting their own seeds to grow their own food. So, they started off gathering wild plants to eat. Then, what they did was they evolved into taking the seeds from the strongest wild grains and planting them. So therefore, after their seeds were planted and the seeds grew, then the people were able to pick the grain, use part of it, and save the rest to plant again. So this is the story of the first farmers. So the people that stopped moving from place to place, The ones that stayed in one spot and kept planting became our first farmers. And our first farmers were started a long, long time ago, before there were cities and towns and grocery stores. So people started planting. So we have people planting their own seeds to grow so they could stay in one place. Why is this not coming up? So they could stay in one place. Reply. Oh, now my typing is not working. Great. Let's see. Okay. Hi, Leonie. Hi. Are you writing in your journal? Oh, there it comes. Here it comes. So they could stay in one place. It's really slow. So that is the first question. What did we do before we had farmers? I'm going to show you a picture. These are some tools that the ancient farmers used. I emailed this to your parents if you want to see it on your email. You see the picture? So the first picture is ancient tools made for farming, then early farmers planting the seeds, and then harvesting the grain for food and planting, and then grinding the grain and making bread. So they took the grain, they grinded it up, and they made bread. These are what the first farmers did. So I emailed everybody these pictures. So they didn't have to wander anymore. They stayed in one spot and they kept on planting the seeds over and over again. And they ended up becoming our first farmers. So I'm going to give you some vocabulary words. We did producers, we did consumers. So they were the first producers. So they could stay in one place and grow their crops and make their food. Okay, I'm going to send you your vocabulary words. Gathered and grains. So send me, since I can't see your journals, send me your answer to the question, what did people do before grocery stores? The first farmers, and the new vocabulary words are gathered. I'm putting them in the chat. Gathered means collected or brought together. That's one vocabulary word. the farmers gathered their harvest. They gathered the grains. They stayed in one place and gathered their grains and then replanted. These were the first farmers. Grains are cereal plants that they made into bread. They grinded the grain and made bread. So they made ancient tools, they planted the seeds, they harvested the grain for food and planting, and they grinded grain and made bread. So, let's write that. Just write this and then we're done. Yes. Who? All right, just write down what I'm writing in the chat. The first farmers. Yes. Write it down. Thank you. Harvested the grain for food and planting. Everyone should be writing. Yes, I want you to remember this about the first farmers. And they grinded the grain and made bread. Shh, you need to stay muted during the lesson. Okay, don't interrupt, okay? So, I just want you to write this out. I want you to write the 2 vocabulary words. Okay, so you're going to write this. And the 2 new vocabulary words are gathered and grains. Gathered means collected or brought together. Grains means a cereal plant. And the first farmers. So the top of your paper should say first farmers in your social studies journal. They planted and they stayed in one spot instead of moving around, and they became our first farmers from long ago. So the first one says ancient tools made for farming. The next one says early farmers planting seeds. The next one is harvesting the grains, harvesting the grain for food and planting, and grinding the grains and making bread. So put that under first farmers in your social studies journal. This is what the first farmers did. I can't copy this and send it and hand it out to you, obviously. I did email this and the story to your parents' email address. Whatever email address you gave me, I emailed the first farmer's story and this. So write this in your social studies journal, plus your 2 vocabulary words I will put for you here. Vocabulary words are gathered, which means collected or brought together. Brought together. First new vocabulary word is brought together, gathered. Gathered means to bring together. First vocabulary word, gathered, bring together. And grains. They grinded the grains to make bread. So you have grains and you have grinded. So send me your page in your journal with your info on First Farmers and your definitions as homework. And I will post the assignment in the social studies chat teams, in the social studies team tile. I will put the assignment in. We did First Farmers. This is what we learned. I emailed the paper and the story with the pictures. Okay? That is social studies for the day. First Farmers and how they became the first farmers. Okay, guys. Adios. Miss you. Bye. Bye.